Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Big news for LSU football over the weekend. Maason Smith took to his social media accounts and said, I'm cleared. I can return to all football activities. He is ready to roll. Of course, y'all are all familiar with Maason Smith's story. Was a five-star recruit, came in as a freshman in 2021 and played sparingly as a freshman, was not a huge piece to that puzzle, but was expected to become a star last year. And we all know in the first quarter of the game against Florida State, he's literally jumping over someone after a play is over and just lands wrong, and the ACL goes. And I remember being in the Superdome when that happened, and my eyes were in that vicinity, and I noticed the reaction that he made to go down as something that didn't look natural. And I immediately texted my dad, who's watching the game on TV and has got a much better look at it than I do in the stadium, saying, did he just blow his knee out? And the response I got was like, kind of looks like it. And sure enough, he did not return the rest of the year. I mean, that is so brutal for a young person to go through everything that student athletes go through leading up to a football season, especially in South Louisiana where it's 100 every day. And he's carrying that 315-pound frame all fall camp long when it's 100. You're getting up early, you're lifting weights, you're banging shoulder pads, you're just going through scrimmages, and you finally get to the opener, and you're out there for 20 minutes. And the whole season's gone. That's just absolutely brutal. But he's fought his way back. We saw him out there really dressed out and participating in a lot of spring football, and it just didn't want to ramp him all the way up to contact. Now he'll be able to participate fully in this summer, and when they put the pads on in fall, it is a full go for Maason Smith. And this is one of those deals where we don't know what we have in Maason Smith. We know what's possible, but this is not a proven veteran returning. This is a precocious talent that is yet to be realized because of injury. We think he might be Michael Brockers, an all-SEC player who's a first-round pick and a long-time NFL player. But we don't know that yet. Now, what we know is that LSU had a very difficult time blocking him in fall camp last year. A very difficult time. He made some scrimmages a little unproductive at times. That's from folks that were there, and that's from Brian Kelly. And Brian Kelly met with the media during this spring and basically painted the picture for us, kind of football neophytes as to what Maason Smith brings to this team. And he said that basically Mekhi and Jaquelin had good seasons last year. Mekhi Wingo got All-American recognition. Jaquelin Roy is a drafted player who was really solid as a junior. But I think most of the time those guys were singled up on the inside. And teams paid more attention to Ojulari and some of the guys on the outside. That's where some of the doubles came. That's where some of the help came. And Brian Kelly, in speaking to the media, says, here's how that changes. When Maason Smith comes back, they can't do that. They can't leave him on a center or a guard by themselves. He will destroy their offense. And let me tell you, I can sit here as Joe talk show host and tell you what I think Maason Smith could do. And you could listen to that and take it for what it's worth. Why don't you listen to the guy that's won about 1 billion games and let him tell you what Maason Smith does? And that is wreck teams interior, demand double teams, and free up space for Mekhi Wingo next to him and some of the guys on the outside to make things happen. Rushing the passer, stopping the run, creating negative plays, stalling drives, and winning games. You look at this LSU defensive front, and I kind of like the way it shapes up. Yeah, you're going to miss Jaquelin Roy. Yeah, you're going to miss B.J. Ojulari. I don't know if Ali Gay's production was quite what you thought you were going to get, but he was an older player that was a big physical presence. And yeah, Harold Perkins' role changes a little bit, and they move him back, and he's not quite what he was, but maybe he will be sometimes. But you start to look at the numbers and the talent that LSU has up front, and you've got a really nice blend. Your interior is among the best in college football up front. You've got Maason Smith and Mekhi Wingo up there. You could theoretically have 2 all-league players there. You could theoretically have 2 guys that get all-American recognition in the middle of your interior. That's fantastic. Then you look to the outside, and you figure, based on what I'm telling you, that the attention that Wingo and Smith are going to demand is going to free up opportunities for guys on the edge. And I think that starts with Savion Jones. Jones is the guy, he's the pick to click, if you will. He's the guy that needs to step up and become the next really strong pass rusher at LSU. He's got every tool. Long limbs, great range, good athleticism. He's got all the tools. It's time for him to step up and become a guy. I think on the other side, you're looking at Ogi, I cannot say this name without stuttering through it. Ovi Oghoufo, who has been a starter at Texas for the last couple of years. 8 starts as a junior in 21, 12 starts last year. Had 4.5 sacks, about 14 tackles for loss. That's a guy who's played a lot of football that you can put on the other side. And then you've got some guys that are basically lottery tickets that are younger players. You got Jones and Oghoufo who have played a lot of college football. What do Deshaun Womack and Quincy Wiggins give you? Does one of them become the star that the high school recruiting rankings would have you believe? And if you only hit on 50% of those for this coming season, that's a pretty good ratio. You got a star. Braden Swinson comes in from Oregon. He's played a lot of football. Had a big breakout game against Ohio State. Are his season statistics great? No. Is he an older player that you feel like gives you some insurance? Yeah. And then on the inside, you've got a lot of depth there. Behind Smith and Wingo, you've got Jacobian Guillory. You've got Paris Shand. You've got Jalen Lee. You've got Jordan Jefferson. A lot of snaps, and some of it at Power 5. Jalen Lee at Florida. Jordan Jefferson at West Virginia. Paris Shand at Arizona. Like, you've got 6 tackles that have played. If you bring Jalen Lee in to be your starting nose guard, well, you've got a bit of an issue there. You bring him in as the 5th body, okay, that's fine. That's good. And that's what you've got. So I love the depth. I mean, I just rattled off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys for 4 spots. Now, there will be injuries. There will be guys that maybe don't pan out to what you thought they were, whether it's a transfer or a high school guy. And I didn't even get into, Jackson Howard and some of the other guys that I don't think figure in right this second. But the guys that I think that factor in right this second, that's 11 guys. And you've got 2 All-American types in Wingo and Smith, some older guys in Oghoufo, Swinson, Savion Jones, and then the talent of Wiggins, the talent of Womack. That's a really, really healthy spot for your defensive line room to be in. And I think the center point of the entire thing is Maason Smith. If he's a star and they have to pay that much attention to him in the interior, and you can give him a break here and there with the depth that you've got, and he can stay pretty fresh, all of a sudden the math starts to work in your favor up front as they start to double and they start to have to chip and use different pass protection techniques because there's so much attention paid to your nose guards and you've got some real talent on the outside. I really like where LSU sits on the defensive line, and Maason Smith is probably the biggest part of that. Let's hope the young man stays healthy through camp and Florida State finally gets a piece of him because they sure didn't last year. What a freak injury that was. He's literally jumping over someone and just landed weird. Out for the year, but he's ready to roll now, and he'll be locked and loaded for the opener against Florida State. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.